Hi there to my Earth dominant people. Um, and what that means for these readings is if there's a dominance of the Earth element in your astrology chart, which you can find at astro.com, if you put in your birth details, including your birth time, you'll see the balance of elements there with the planets, and you'll be able to see what the dominant element is, or if you just know that your sun sign is Earth, or you resonate with the Earth element, you know that's your dominant style. Those are all fine too. And also, maybe there's more than one, right? Many of us have more than one. So you can check out those readings as well to see if they resonate. These are for the week. So let's see what's coming as priority to look at. Oh, my mental pattern is positive and joyful. I'm pulling from Louise Hay Wisdom Cards. Everything in my life, every experience, every relationship is a mirror of the mental pattern that is going on inside me. Interesting. So there's a mental patterning, a way of seeing something, a thought pattern or ancestral pattern, right? That's informing something, an aspect of life. Let's get some oracle cards to flesh that out a little bit. We have Amber. And this is a Crystal Angel Oracle deck, I believe. Crystal Oracle by Doreen Virtue. Give it to God. Take a deep breath, and on the exhale, release this situation to God for healing and answers. So maybe there's this mental patterning of wanting to close the gap between what's known and unknown, right? And we want certainty in an area where if we actually had certainty, life would be very boring. But in order to feel secure and comfortable in life, we work really hard to close the informational gap of the unknown. I used to do this with performance. I wanted to know how everything was going to go and be able to predict. And I had a friend point out to me, well, Rachel, that is the exciting aspect of live performance. So if you take that away, you're kind of taking away the exciting part. And that really helped me shift my focus there, right? That I could control what I could control. I could control the preparation, other elements. But there is going to be this unknown aspect. And if I work hard on looking at that and trying to control that by worry, it doesn't work, does it? It actually disempowers. And it's a waste and a leak of mental energy. So is there an aspect of life that you're doing that with? That it's just an unknown that we can't know. Books. So maybe you're doing it with learning, right? Maybe you're doing it with research. You connect to your life purpose through your involvement with books. This is from the life purpose decks. But this can also be this is a pattern for you where you collect information, right? Because you never really feel like you know enough. And it's this pattern of trying to satisfy this part of you that doesn't like to be with the unknown, right? So maybe you're doing lots of research around that. Let's get one more oracle card. And so are you able to have a little dose of playfulness, right? That actually is in alignment with that higher aspect of self, the self with a capital S, the higher self. If we're in a playful place, we know we're coming from our higher self, where things can be a little more lighthearted, right? The stakes aren't so high. This is from the Romance Angels deck. So to recapture your romance, allow your inner youthful spirit of fun to shine. So there might be part of you that has an insecurity about not knowing enough, right? Or of not knowing the answer. So you go around and you collect information, collect data, right? Are you one of those people that just loves Jeopardy? You know, you just you love knowing answers. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's actually a great quality, right? To have a lot of information, a lot of facts. But are the stakes really high there, right? Are you do you judge yourself when you don't have an answer, or do you make up an answer to present like you do have an answer when you don't? You're being encouraged to, you know, have a playful approach around that. That it's actually, you know, if your concern is what others think of you around that, it can actually be more relatable, and people can appreciate you more if you know you're willing to say I don't know, right? That you're actually more trustworthy. You come across as more trustworthy if you're willing to say I don't know that. You know what? Who someone that comes to mind is Anadea Judith, who's this an amazing teacher. She teaches about chakra therapy. I studied with her. She wrote Wheels of Life. I always think of her because I remember a student in class raising their hand and asking about the Earth Star chakras or something like that, right? Oh, well, what about the Earth Star chakras? The ones at your feet, I guess they were talking about. And she's like, I don't know those. I don't work with those. So I don't know anything about that. I just work with, you know, the 7 main chakras, which I just really respected that, you know, that she didn't feel like she was proving herself, right? Because that's how it can feel when someone is in that energy of, I have to know. And we all go through that, you know, that's part of the process. It's not like, right, like if we consider ourselves a teacher in some way, or I think in any life path or purpose, we go through a time of kind of proving ourselves, testing the waters. Is this a right fit for me? Am I good enough at this? You know, and so we might mimic other people to find our way, right? So it all has, there's, you know, there are different progressions to the experience. And, you know, there's different levels to empowerment. It's not a straight line. It's not a jump. So this might be part of the process for you, just adding a little bit of playfulness to your approach and not being so hard on yourself. Maybe, you know, that's typical of Earth dominance, right? Being highly critical of self, very critical. So you might be getting this sign a lot right now. Don't take yourself so seriously. You can add a dose of playfulness and still learn, you know, still grow, still be excellent at whatever you're doing. And maybe that'll elevate you even more, right? To have this state of, I don't have to be perfect, that my humanness is actually relatable, and it disarms other people, and then we can build trust that way, right? It disarms people when you're relatable, right? You can still be extraordinary, but acknowledge your humanness, right? I'm going to go to the archetype cards by Carolyn Meese and see what part of you wants to take the spotlight, or, you know, is maybe in the shadow right now and having an effect and would like some acknowledgement, please. Let's see. Just one part. Mediator. So mediator's coming up. Wants the spotlight here. Gift for negotiate. The light attributes are gift for negotiating fairness and strategy in personal and professional life. Respect for both sides of an argument. And then the shadow attribute, negotiating with an ulterior motive or hidden agenda, either personally or professionally. So Um, you know, maybe this could be a blessing from that, you know, collecting information, collecting data. You can see both sides of any situation, right? Because you've already weighed it out in your head, right? Maybe that's one gift of overthinking, right? I've already tuned into that side and that side and that side. I've already gone there. So, so this mediator might be well developed. Sorry, my table covering is falling down. So you've kind of already explored aspects mentally, and have a strong ability, you know, a strong mental ability to focus. And maybe a lot of energy is there. And that's why the playfulness is there, to kind of disengage and get into your body through playful exploration. So maybe that's a gift you have. But internally, you pick a side. You definitely have strong opinions, because you feel you've earned them through all of your research, right? But you're willing to hear people out. And that's part of your nurturing, right? As an earth, you expect that respect in return. Let's flesh this out. I'm going to go to the Gilded Tarot by Chiara Marchetti and see if there are other details that want to come up here. Because I get the encouragement to be playful. And I'm navigating around these earbud headphones because my mic was just creating too much buzzing. And that was irking me as I listened to playback. Let's see. Why is this coming up? Okay. Okay, so the world is at the bottom of the deck. And the world can represent, I believe in this scenario, possibilities, potential, a world of information to be explored. That's very exciting. The first card that comes out is the Four of Pentacles. This is a card of withholding. It can be stinginess, but this might be withholding maybe withholding your truth or your opinion at times, right? Because that inner critic is strong, right? Out of fear of the anxiety of the Nine of Swords, right? Maybe this withholding is circumventing you emotionally, is inhibiting your ability to circumvent emotionally, right? So maybe you're a great mediator for other people, but then inside it creates this chaos, right? Because you have strong opinions that maybe you're not expressing, because the inner critic is strong. And you're sort of navigating that in relationships, friendships. We also have the Star card here. This is Aquarius energy. So you could be dealing with an Aquarian or have an Aquarius element. And maybe you deal with the anxiety by dreaming and exploring through the mental plane, which is interesting because that would be air element, right? And air is medicine for earth. So if, there's an exacerbation of the earth element, right? And there's a fear, and you're trapped in fear, right? And it's interesting that the pentacles are earth, right? So this hoarding of the earth energy, this earth element, this withholding, which is, very earthy to nurture and hold somebody, right? You think of a tree, the roots of a tree sitting in there being held by Mother Earth, right? That is part of the nurturing of the earth element, of holding somebody, creating structure there, right? And so that can just be indicative of the earth element. It does look like he's doing that, right? He's holding those pentacles like a child. So it can be sort of, are you valuing material possessions at this time as opposed to your relationship harmony, right? This card is the Two of Cups, bringing in emotional harmony, relationship harmony, harmony in relationships. And so that can be an internal state as well, right? Sometimes we don't acknowledge a boundary or assert an opinion out of fear disrupting the relationship harmony. But then what happens is we feel the disruption internally, and then we're in this waking up in the middle of the night with anxiety. Know that that's part of the experience right now in general, right? The emotional climate right now is there's anxiety in the air, and maybe, some of it can be contagious, and maybe you're experiencing some of that. It can also just be this withholding of your outlook in certain situations because you're trying to keep the peace, right? And then you're sacrificing inner peace. This also might come in as, the mediator. You might be finding that if that's not something that you've studied, right? I have a friend who actually is a professional mediator. I don't know what he studied, but he definitely does that work. Maybe it is working with somebody who, is withholding their side of things, right? Working through the fears of that, for both parties, and the desires and wishes of both people, right? So that they can come into relationship harmony. That is sort of the process of a mediator, right? What are the fears of both parties, right? What are they not saying? How do their desires and needs get met best in each situation? What are their wishes for the situation? What will create a peaceful, harmonious resolution? So that is, that is the process of a mediator. That's what you would expect. So maybe this is either a hidden talent or something you're working towards. That's so interesting. That's never come up before, right? Out of a world of possibilities, we get this scenario, and then the tarot cards spell it out perfectly. That's very interesting. I'm going to go to Ancestors and Guides, I believe is the name of the deck. Angels and Ancestors Oracle cards. by Kyle Gray, and just see if there's any more information that wants to come through about this. This is really interesting. Interesting also that the imagery on this wisdom card, it's the eye, right, looking at one side, you know, and that sparking something in the brain. Eagle. Eagle. See from a higher perspective. So I'm really getting that, you know, maybe the eagle is a totem for you, a totem animal, a spirit animal for you, that you have this ability to see a higher perspective and to guide others to that, to create harmony for people. And that's just being celebrated here. You know, instead of looking at all the things you could criticize about yourself, earth dominant. We love to do that. I have some earth dominance as well, so I get that. This is something that can be celebrated here. This is a skill that you have. Do we need any more information? How about we end it with a crazy, sexy love note card from Chris Carr. To end it on a positive note. That was pretty positive. My mental pattern is positive and joyful. What's the initial intent? So, and then celebrating this ability, you know, this kind of hunger for knowledge and learning. Injecting that with playfulness. Maybe working with amber, very grounding stone. You know, it can have kind of an earthy effect if we're too much in our mental process and we need earth energy as medicine. You know, working with amber can help, or any grounding stone, or walking out in nature. And then the eagle could be the air element coming in as medicine, right? Earth and air are medicine for each other. And then it balances out, it can balance out the other elements, right? The air and the water, right? Interesting that all the elements are represented here. So, right, we started with the pentacles, the Four of Pentacles, and then we go to, I think it's the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords, swords are air. So we have earth, air, water. I guess we don't have fire. That is air as well. But the playfulness can be an aspect of fire, right? Fire is known for being funny and finding the humor and the comedy and things. So balancing the elements here. And then make sure to unplug. That's what's coming up. And certainly all the elements are displayed there. Right out in nature. Recharge your soul batteries by unplugging from the digital world. Connect with yourself by disconnecting from distractions such as other people's to-do lists. Take a stroll. The best way to generate fresh and innovative ideas is to balance the virtual and natural worlds. The birds and the trees have just as much to teach you as the internet. Interesting, right? Because we're talking about collecting information. Maybe you're doing so online, right? And then it said something about the birds and the trees have just as much to teach you as the internet. And we have eagle as a totem here. So interesting. So maybe, you know, it might be helpful to unplug a little bit from the mental process. Maybe you're really stuck here, right? And in a state of overthinking something. Or maybe just some detachment, right? With the air element, going outside for a walk in nature, getting off your gadgets for a time would be really beneficial for you. So making some time every day to make sure you do that. Or taking a hiatus for temporarily if you're able to would be really beneficial for you right now, right? And playing out in nature is what you're being asked to do right now, right? To not take things so seriously right now. Even though we're in a serious situation, taking some time to breathe and get some fresh air, and getting back in touch with nature and seeing how everything's still working out there, right? The animals are still doing their thing. And, you know, connecting with that lighthearted energy could be beneficial for you right now. Right? I hope that resonated. I hope you heard something that was useful there. Thanks for liking the video and subscribing to the channel. That's really valuable to me. If you want any personal sessions, personal readings, anything like that, all the information is in the description of this video, other social media platforms, all of that. I will see you in the next video. Bye, empath.